Hey everybody, so we talked about patterns and conjectures yesterday, all of this stuff, and we talked about using inductive reasoning. Well, a lot of this is the beginning of what we're going to be using, including today's lesson, is it's going to help us with our logic, just like we talked about yesterday. So same thing here, we're going to be talking about statements and truth values. Now, you won't necessarily see this on this test, but it will help you figure it out and kind of helps you see the process behind what we're going to be doing right after this. All right. If any of you end up taking a philosophy class in college, for example, you will take a class at some point that makes you do truth tables. So first off, we're going to talk about, and you'll notice that everything I've done today, it's already typed up for you. So if you ever need a pause and just kind of take a minute to write things down, please be sure to do so. All right, now, statement. A statement is a sentence that's either true or false. And notice I am going to be color coordinating just because I want to make sure that these four things, especially at the top, they do stick out. All right, now your truth value, that means that something is either true, for which you're going to write a capital T, or false. And you guessed it, you're going to write a capital F for this. So pretty much the truth value is like a shorthand version of what's happening with your statement. Now, a compound statement. That one's kind of like a level up of the actual statement, but it's just two or more statements joined by the word and or the word or. All right. And we are going to be using symbols for those, but you won't see those until a little bit lower. All right, next, your truth table. This is a method for organizing all of your truth values. All right, again, this is going to help you stay organized for the rest of this chapter. All right, these four things are important vocab that you need to know. We're going to be using them in order to do our actual truth tables and truth values. So, let's do it. All right, we are going to be explaining these three first. So the first one is going to be negation. So think negative in the sense that something that has the opposite meaning and truth value of an original statement. So I'm going to go ahead and here. All right, so negation is the opposite meaning and truth value of an original statement. You are going to use a symbol for that. And if you want to, if you don't have enough room there, what you can do is instead of writing it here, you can write it out in your columns, kind of like what we do for Cornell notes or if we did those in here. But this way it's a note and you see what it means. So the symbol for this is this. Okay, sometimes you will see it like this, but for the most part, you see that top curvy one. I know in Spanish that's called the tilde, but that curvy thing. All right, so if I were to write, for example, this curvy thing and the letter P, that would mean not P. So whatever the opposite of P is. All right, we are going to be using a lot of P's and Q's. That's just kind of Truth Tables 101, we use those two letters, and then we kind of level up in the world, but don't worry, you'll get there. All right, this next one is going to be conjunction. So conjunction, and let's switch up the colors. All right, so conjunction means that it's a compound statement, and it's formed by the use, by using the word and. Oops, and let me fix that for you guys. All right, there we go. Much better, right? You guys can actually write that word down. So, all right, so again, it's by using the word and we had said that earlier, right, in the compound statements. Okay, and this is true when both statements are true. So both sides have to be true at the same time. Now, there is also a symbol for this. And the symbol for this is kind of like a capital A. It's really just a capital V, but upside down. And I like to think about that as that capital A as the and. And so it helps me remember that it's a conjunction. If you have something like this, that would mean P and Q. And we would typically write out the word and, but space is not so, readily available right now. And then we've got disjunction, okay? You can see it as disconjunction sometimes. I will be referring to it as disjunction and disconjunction. People just trying to be extra there. All right, now this is a compound statement formed by using the word, and I did it here again, y'all. There we go. Or, and it's true when either or both are true. Pretty much, and if you want to write yourself a little note there, at least one of them has to be true. And notice I'm using the T like the shorthand that we do. All right. The symbol for this is going to be the other way. It's kind of just like, think about the emoji where like they've got their arms up by their sides. And they're just like, I don't know. And you've got the symbol kind of like that going, well, I don't know which way. P.S. is just a capital V. Okay, and you can write P or Q. And you would read that as P or Q. All right, so these are the basics that what you're going to need for your statements. We are going to be doing the truth tables. You see them a little bit on the right. It's all good. We're good. We'll get there. All right, now, sometimes you're going to have to end up negating words. They're going to give you a statement. And they're going to be like, well, negate this. Well, if you want to negate anything that has the word all, and you'll remember that we talked about that yesterday with this one, the square root of number is always, which means all the time. To negate it, you need to know that there is at least one. Just like yesterday, we just had to find one example to be like, well, that's not always true. Here's one example right here. If you have at least one example, then you've already negated it. All right, for every, that one, you are going to be using there exists. So this is saying that for every single thing or every single day Miss Samji drinks coffee, there exists at least one day that Miss Samji does not drink coffee. For example, yesterday, but today Miss Samji needs it. All right, and then vice versa. If you have something that's like at least one and whatnot, you can use that and go backwards. So it works both ways, like that. Yay. All right, now we're gonna be making truth tables, and you see them, don't freak out. Here are the tips for constructing truth tables. Sometimes I'll be having you fill them in, kind of like the first two that we're gonna do together for conjunction and disjunction. just so you know what they look like and how we have to work them. And you're going to be using that knowledge to apply it. All right. Now, your tips for constructing truth tables. I'm going to be highlighting things as you guys are writing this down. You want to include columns for each statement involved. So for each of the letters, you want a column. That's also going to tell you how many rows you're going to have, the number of rows is 2 to the power of whatever, however many statements you have. In this case, we're using statements as letters. So say if you have P, Q, and R, that's 3 statements. You would do 2 to the third. And the reason why we're using 2 is because you have 2 options for each of these, true or false. So you take it to the third power, and you would know that you would have to make 8 rows. Say you had P, Q, R, and S. Ooh. Then you would just do 2 to the fourth, which is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. And that gets you 16. That's just kind of a quick tidbit. All right. The next thing, you want to make sure to include columns for any negations required. So if it's saying P and not Q, well, okay, that means I need to make P first, and then I'm going to make a second column for not P. Right now, maybe this doesn't make sense. Just wait till the end when we're working through the examples. I promise you it'll help out. Right? And then the last step that we're going to do is you need to include columns for the compound statements. What is your final thing? Pretty much, just like everything in geometry, you're going to have to break it up bit by bit by bit. So let's go ahead and talk about how we're going to do these compound statements. For example, conjunction, which is P and Q, or disjunction, which is P or Q. All right, notice I've already got 4 rows set up because I have 2 statements, P and Q, and 2 to the second, well, that's 4, 2 squared, right? And then the way that you set it up, the first one, you do half of them at the beginning to be true, and then the other half to be false. And then you alternate your true, false, true, false. If you have 3 statements that you're working with, we'll talk about that as our last example, just so you have it. Doop. All right, now remember, for conjunction, both things have to be true. So it's saying P has to be true and Q has to be true. Well, that's true here, so we're going to write true. Both statements are not true here, so we're going to write false. They are both not true, false. And these are both definitely not true, so that's false. And that's how you would do a conjunction. You need to think about the definition of that conjunction, that both have to be there. It's an and thing. It's this and this. It's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, not a peanut butter or a jelly sandwich. I wouldn't have just a jelly sandwich, but if you do, I still love you. I might want to get your sugar check, though. All right, so now we've got disjunction right here. Remember, this is the or. It's kind of like that emoji that just like, I don't know. She's just kind of do, 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 do. Yeah, you guys don't have to draw that. All right, so P or Q, and it's coming back with a vengeance. All right, so that means at least one of them has to be true. So I'll have either Coke or Sprite. If you gave me Coke or Sprite together, I mean, I guess I could drink it. I don't know. I mean, I would drink them separately though, right? I want Coke and Sprite, or I want coffee and water. Or we can say coffee or water, meaning that I'll have coffee or I'll have water. In this case, we're saying I want coffee or water. Well, your best friend, because they know you, brought you coffee and water. Both of these statements are true. Well, heck yeah, this is going to be true. And this one, you know, you have somebody and they only brought you one thing. So it's going to be true because at least one of them is true. Same thing here. Your Q is true, so it's still true. In this case, this person completely forgot to bring you anything. They didn't do either of them, so it's going to be false. All right. Now we are going to level up. We are going to be using what we know about these two definitions right here about conjunction and disjunction. If you need to use what's on here on the left, please do so. So again, conjunction and disjunction. It's just an and or thing. You'll notice I've already made my table for this one in advance, just so we kind of have it. And our statement here is P or not R. Now, our tips at the beginning said you need to have one for each statement. So I have P and I have R. So I've got P and R. I also need them for any negations, which is not R right here. And then I need it for any compound statements. So I've got P or not R. Now remember, truth tables are there to help you organize all of this together. Oops. All right, so let's go ahead and do this one. And I'm going to do it in blue just so we can go ahead and get started. We've got P. Remember, half of them are going to be all true. Then it's going to be false. And then you're going to alternate, so you have one true with another true and one true with a false. Same thing here. All right. Oops. Now, this is where it comes in. This part is saying that it's not R. So what that happens is you're going to do the opposite. Kind of like when you get the negative something, it's the opposite of it. So same thing here. You're going to negate everything. So instead of a true for this first one right here, you're going to have a false. Well, R is false here, so we're going to make it a true. True, so therefore the negation is false. False, so the negation is true. And now your compound statement is asking you about P or not R. So you're going to talk about P or not R. You use the R column to help you get not R, but you don't need it for this compound statement. So let's talk about this one. We've got P or not R. Well, I have a P here, so this one's true. Remember, I need to have one of them. I don't need both, but I need one. This one's also true. Both of these are false here. And for this one, at least one is true. All right, this is how you work with compound statements. Again, you have to remember that conjunction is and disjunction is or. All right, and really quick tidbit, if say our example was instead P and not R, then this column right here, we would instead say P and not R, and both of them would have to be true at that point. So look, true, false, not true. True, true, that works. False, false, nope. Nope. And notice it's almost kind of the opposite of what we did for the disjunction, but, you know, not quite. So don't pretend that, oh, well, an and or, they're opposites. No, that's not how this works. Negations are the only opposites you're going to be working with. All right, here's the next one. All right, I am going to have you finish this on your own. I'm going to set it up for you, but I want you to take a picture of this and submit it, and I will help you kind of, and I'll let you know if you do well or not. All right, now we've got 3 different letters here. So we've got P, oops, sorry guys, Q, and R. Then I need one for all of my negations, so I have not R. All All right. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do the compound statements. Well, this one is an or with all of this. So what we have to do is this mini compound statement in the parentheses first. And then we're going to do that mega compound statement. And don't forget your parentheses. It's that same PEMDAS situation. It's coming back for you guys, but now with letters only. Alrighty, so now we got to set it up. And look, we have 2 to the third because we've got 3 different letters, P, Q, and R. So 2 to the third is 8. And I don't have enough lines on mine, but I think you guys do. I just write really big and I have pictures on here. And I'm going to just split it up. So we've got true, true, true. That's 4. And then I have 4 of the opposite. All right. Now what you're going to do for your Q, you're going to have it the same, except you're going to do true, true, false, false. So for the first set of truths, you're going to do half of them are true, half of them are false. Same thing. And now you've got only 2 truths, so you're going to swap it in between those. And you keep that pattern. Hey, get that? And if you use each of the lines, it'll be easier for you to kind of organize and keep it steady, unlike mine. So I'm going to draw lines in real quick, so see if it'll help. And again, you guys just use 1 line per it. It'll keep you organized. Unlike Miss Samji here. All right, so I want you guys to go ahead and get started. And I want you to take a picture of this and submit it. Remember, you're going to just go in order. And at the end of it, the only columns that you're going to be looking at, it's saying P or Q right here, or not R. So you'd be looking at these 2 columns. But in order to make these 2, you have to use everything from your original statements. Thanks for watching and good luck.